Hey everyone. Welcome and welcome back. So, today we are going to finish up our color along. We are using Holbein's, and what I thought we'd do, of course, Mizu would start playing with her toy right when I start recording. Perfect timing. Um, I thought we would just go ahead and finish it. So, we just have Charlie, the scarf, the cushion, and his hat. So we are going to start with Charlie, and the colors I've picked out, and I hope the lighting is okay because again, my camera angle, I changed it. So periodically I'll be pausing to make sure you guys are still in frame, but these are the colors we have for Charlie. So we have flesh, yellow ochre, tan, and brown. And there you go. So you can see the names kind of clearly, hopefully. And then my light's like right here, so it's probably like glaring in you guys' eyes. Okay, so what are we gonna do? We are going to put a base coat of flesh all over Charlie. So just lightly, just kind of add the flesh tone all over Charlie. And you probably aren't gonna see it right away. I know you probably can't see it on my screen, but I can see it, so I can kind of see where it's going down. But this is just the light color, so and normally I'd like to, keep it down to and you can just go right over the spots. I try to keep it to 3 colors, but I'm adding in a 4th because I don't think that tan is going to be dark enough for some of these darker areas, so I added in brown, um, just to see. But if you don't want it to be, dark in certain areas, then you can take out the brown and just use the tan. So this is going to be fairly quick, which is why I chose to go ahead and do the rest of it. I was going to break it up into parts. I was going to do Charlie and his outfit, and then I was going to do the cushion and the background, which is the, I guess the window panes and stuff. But I think I'm going to leave the window panes, and as far as like this area here, I don't know if I'm gonna do anything to that just yet, so I figured I'd do these other parts and just put it into one. That way, if I don't do the paint, or if I decide, I might just add a little gray shading in there. But as far as the main picture goes, I wanted to make sure that they were all kind of in one video because it's gonna be kind of quick. I try to keep my color alongs kind of simple. My coloring chats, they'll probably be all over the place in more detail, but my color alongs, I try to keep simple in case people are actually following along. All right, so the next color is yellow ochre, and what I'm gonna do is there are parts that I kind of want to keep, like this middle of him. I kind of want to keep it kind of light, so I'm gonna just do a little bit, just enough to kind of see the color but not take away from the brightness. And then I'm going to get underneath here too, because that's going to be a little shadow. And then I'm going to get here, like I don't want them to be too dark of a color. I kind of want them a little muted, so I won't add too much of these darker colors except in the darkest spots. So most of him is going to be you're gonna see the color. It's gonna be enough to know what color he is, but at the same time he's not going to be too dark, because we got to make him look snazzy, you know? So we're going to do our best. So you can see, let me see if I can zoom in without messing up. So most of this here in the middle is still kind of light under here, and there's a spot here. So I'm just gonna get kind of like the corners where I think there should be a little color just for the shadow, and the rest we will kind of leave alone. Just kind of give them a little definition, but not too much. And I'm using light pressure, just enough to get the color down and I can see where the color is. Okay, so you can see just a little. And same thing here, I'm just gonna bring out the color just a bit. I'm gonna come a little bit further up, because I mean, he's not a white cheetah, so you want to make sure that he's got enough color, like I said, to know what color he is. So we're gonna bring it down just a little. And so this middle bit here is going to be mostly white, and then everything around it, well, I'm not going to say white. That's going to be our flesh color. Bright is the word I should use. Bright. It's going to be bright. So we're just going to keep going with Charlie. I hope everyone's doing good, doing okay. I can't remember. I don't think I posted last week, or if I did, I posted late. Like I said, this month is kind of an easy month, so I'm just taking it slow and just kind of doing what I want when I want. So I do want to do a color along, or at least kind of, I mean, not a color along, a color and chat, or at least kind of start one. I might not finish it with you guys, but I do want to start one. And I also have an image that I want to color with you guys on Valentine's Day. I will show that in my February update video, which is also coming soon. So for now, let's just finish Charlie, and then we'll talk about that in another video. So I was gonna at first make him kind of orange, but then I decided to go with kind of the, I guess, brownish yellow kind of color. And I did that because I didn't want, like, I wanted this page to be kind of muted, kind of not dull, but just kind of natural looking. And the thing that's gonna pop is gonna be his hat and his cushion. And then this part I'm just gonna color all, because that's in the back, so that definitely needs to be shaded. But yeah, I chose the colors I chose for his hat and his cushion that he's sitting on. I thought it kind of fit him, because he seems like, you know, a little high maintenance or something. So I don't know, Charlie seems like a cool guy, so I picked out a cool color for him. But you can see he's coming together with just this one color. So if you aren't comfortable enough to, you know, use 3 and 4 colors and things like that, you can very much so just use 2. You can even just use 1. But you know, you can actually leave it the way it is now and just kind of go in darker with your yellow ochre. And then once you have where you want it to be, the color to be, then you come back in with the flesh and you just go over the whole thing like we do after we're done laying down our colors like normal. Um, that's one way to do it if you aren't really comfortable with, you know, all using more than 2, 3 colors. Sometimes it's overwhelming, or sometimes even like you're comfortable with it, but you just don't feel like doing it. There are times where I'm just tired and I want to color, but I'm tired and I don't feel like using like 5 and 6 colors. And what I'll do is I'll just use a couple and I'll make it look like I used, more than one color. You can do that as well, because sometimes we get tired and we don't, you know, especially if it's a page with a lot of detail and it just seems like you're getting nowhere, and you just want to kind of hurry up and finish it. Like, you like the page, but you're losing interest or you're getting bored because it's taking too long. And maybe you're just using, too many colors. So it's okay to dial it back. But for this one, we're going to use 4. Well, I am. All right, so moving in with tan. And I'm going to start at the bottom since this is where we are. And I'm just kind of going to help complement this color here, just to kind of bring it out. Just the dark bits, though. I'm not going all the way in or everywhere with it. I'm just kind of going like where the corners, where the lines connect to other lines, and the shadow parts, like so back here, where this bit here is kind of in the back. So I'm going to bring some of this tan in there. And then alongside here, and it's just bringing out the other color. So, and believe it or not, we're almost done with Charlie. So that's what I meant when I said that this one's gonna be kind of quick, because I didn't want him to be so like harshly colored and bright and orangey. So I kind of toned it back a little, and he's kind of like he still seems like the correct color for a cheetah. It's just that he's not so, he's toned down. Basically, he's not so saturated with color. And then I'm just going to bring this up from down here. And I'm just going to bring it up just a little and along the side. But so how is everyone doing? For me, I've just been tired. It's just, they say it's one of the lingering effects of COVID, but I just wish it would go away, because you ever just get tired of being tired? So it's like sometimes when I get up and I have to go to work, it's like really hard to get out of the bed. And when I do get out of the bed, I'm just dragging. And, like sometimes when I'm, not sick, I like to stay in bed. But when I am ready to get up, I'm able to. And now it kind of feels like when I'm ready to get up, it's almost impossible to get out of the bed for some reason. So I don't know. This COVID stuff is, I don't have it anymore, but it just seems like it's lingering. And I just, whew, it's everywhere, and it's exhausting, and everyone's catching it. And I just wish that someone does something about it, because it's literally like taking over, like, people's lives. And their work and their health and everything else, and it's exhausting just thinking about it. So I'm gonna pull you down so we can do the top part now. And just bringing it out from the side here, because remember the middle we want bright. I keep wanting to say white, but bright is the word I'm looking for. I mean, if you want it to be like, just leave it like this, then don't go over it again like we're gonna do with the flesh, because that's gonna make it a little darker. You can technically go over it with white, or if you have like an ivory color, you can go over it with that, and then that will kind of keep its brightness, you know, where you need it to be. This is like part of his leg, so I'm gonna bring that out too. Yeah, you can do just that if you don't want it to be, because we're gonna make it just a tad darker. He won't be like this bright. But if you like the way this looks as it is, then once you're done with your tan, you can go over. I mean, I wouldn't recommend white because you might lighten up the other, like the tan and the yellow ochre. You might brighten that by accident with the white, depending on, you know, if you're using Holbein's, and I know that Holbein white is pretty white. So if you want to use white, I would say don't go over the whole thing with it. I would say just use it in the area where you want it to remain bright, because if you go over it with that white, you might kind of brighten up those other colors that you put down that are meant to be dark. You might accidentally brighten those up. I don't know for certain if that's what's gonna happen, because I don't use white a lot to brighten my colors, so you know. All right, so we're coming in with brown, and this I'm just using sparingly. So like in this dark area down here, I'm gonna put some, just like where it's really dark, like here, down in here, just the dark areas. I'm not bringing it all the way in every place, but just where it's really dark, or where I think it should be really dark. Like down in here, gonna bring it up just a bit. Let's see where else here. Just kind of like where it's like you'll see the spots and everything where they're like really dark. Right, so now I'm gonna take my flesh and I'm gonna go over the whole thing again. Just go over it everywhere. And you see it's toning him down a bit. He's not as bright as he was. So if you know, you don't want him to be toned down, and you want to keep the almost white, then don't go over him again. Like I said, use a white or use a lighter color like ivory or something. You can use something like that. But I'm gonna go over the whole thing because I do want him to be toned down a bit. So we don't want him that bright. So just kind of go over the whole thing, and you can use medium pressure or light pressure. It's depending on how dark you want to cover those light spots. So if you want them pretty true to this flesh color, then you can use medium. If you want it to be a little lighter than that, then go ahead with the light pressure and just go over the whole thing. No, I don't do like fur and all that stuff very well. So when I color animals, this is pretty much the gist of it. Um, I am in some of these places gonna come out with some of this because I feel like when I added the flesh, it kind of toned down the, and that's what I mean when you go over with lighter colors. Sometimes you accidentally lighten the others, and it's okay. You could just go right over it, go back and do the same thing you did, because now you know where you want your colors. So I can just kind of go over it where they were and just kind of add some more back in here. And just like that, Charlie is pretty much done. Now, if you want, again, if you want them darker, you can continue to, you know, use brown or tan and just make them darker. But, oh my goodness. But for us, that's Charlie. So I just knocked over an entire cup of color pencils that, I don't know, for some reason they seem like they weren't in the right spot to begin with. Okay. Now, the colors I picked for Charlie's cushion and Charlie's hat. We're going with purples, guys. So, lightest to dark. Violet, raisin, and grape. Violet, raisin, yeah, grape. So, there is our colors. Violet, raisin, and grape. All right, so starting with the hat, let me zoom you guys in. And you all know the drill. And be very light with this violet, because purples, they, especially with Holbeins, they're very pigmented. So be very light to start. And this shade work is going to do a lot of the work for us because they've got it shaded in. So just very lightly. And I'm being so light and it's still pretty pigmented. So purples tend to be, all right, so we got the base coat down on our hat. Let's get it down on our cushion. So I'm gonna slightly turn you down here. There we go. Okay. Excuse me. Very light. So I thought purple would be good because, you know, royalty. And he looks very royal sitting up on this chair. And, you know, he's just a cool cat. And he's sitting watching the festivities from his chair. Now, I'm not sure what in the world this is, so I'm just going to leave it. Oh, you know what? I think actually that's part of his scarf. And I just noticed it right when I tell you guys I have no idea what it is. I think it's part of his scarf because it looks like it comes down and around his back and then out here and over the chair. Because at first I thought it was his tail and I was like, no, I don't think it's his tail. That's a weird shaped tail for a cheetah. And I was like, well, I'm just going to leave it until I figure out what it is. And I just figured it out, you know, sitting here talking to you guys. So I guess it took me to say it out loud to figure out what it is. Okay. Now we're going to come in with raisin, and I'm going to come off from back here because I figure where he's sitting is kind of causing shadow. So I'm just going to flick outward as far as like this, and then down in here, and then flick outward from here. Because I feel like he's creating the shadow in the cushion. So I don't know, that's just the way I think it goes. And then want to get some flicks in upward from here, just kind of following the lines and just adding in some stuff. You don't even have to flick it upward. You can just color it. But I'm flicking it upward so it can kind of go along with the cushion. I mean, you can flick downward too. It's the same thing. But I'm just adding in some, you know, so they know, okay, some bits are lighter. And then I'm from down here, I'm just going to come from this side and I'm going to come from this side. And that's pretty much it for the chair. I mean, the cushion for our second color. Now for the hat is a little different. We're going to come from the bottom and up. We're actually going to follow these shade lines. So it might be a little bit hard to tell, but if you look where the dark is, where it's very dark, that's where your dark colors are going to come from. So this whole thing here in the middle, I'm going to add some here. Just want to make sure you guys can still see. And then I'm going to add from here. And it's a little hard to, I want to make sure you guys can still see without me blocking everything. So this whole dark thing here, I'm just going to shade it in. And then we did the middle, this black line in the middle, we shaded that. And then we shaded from down here up. And then we left a little bit. So I'm going to move back down here and I'm going to smooth some of this out. Because I'm going to come in with the dark color and I want to make sure that it blends in kind of well. All right, here we go. We are now coming in with our grape, which is the darkest color. And we're going to start with the cushion. And I'm just going to get just the parts that are touching Charlie. That's what you want. Because that's going to be the darkest because, you know, he's touching it. I don't know how to really explain that otherwise. Just a bit, just make it kind of dark and bring it out just a little. And then for down here, we're just gonna get a little bit here, and I'm using medium pressure just to make sure that, you know, it's dark enough. And then bringing it out just a little light. And then for these things here, I'm just kind of flicking just a little bit. Just a little so they know where the creases are. That's where we added our darks. And then for his hat, I hope you guys were able to see that. And then for his hat, just the very dark. And I know some of you are like, well, what's the purpose of doing the darkest of the hat and you can't really see it? You can see it enough to know the difference between the purple and the black of the shading. And then if you don't do it that way, I feel like, and you just kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? You just kind of leave it alone and then you come in with just that violet. I mean, you can do it that way, but it would look a little wonky because you only have one layer in certain areas. Okay, so we're coming in with violet again and we're going over the whole thing very lightly. We're still doing violet light because we want it to be light. Just light enough. And then we're just basically doing this just to blend all the colors in so it doesn't look patchy is the word I guess I'm looking for. So he's got a nice purple hat on. And if you wanted to really snazz him up, you can use stickles, gel pens, you know, make them snazzy. If you like to add sparkles and things like that on your page, snazz him up, give him some sparkles in his hat. You can even add like glitter or confetti, like glue little confetti pieces to his hat and make it look really snazzy. I'm just going over the whole cushion now with the violet, blending in those colors. But yeah, you can really snazz him up. You can even like snazz up the cushion. You can add like some, I mean, I'll show you guys. I'll see if I got some purple stickles or something. We'll see. Let's finish him up first, and then we'll see what we got as far as sparkles. So I'm just blending this in, and I've gone outside the line in a couple areas, but I'll bring the eraser in a second. But I just want to go over it, the whole thing. And then I feel like I lost some of the raisin, so I'm gonna bring some of that back in just a bit. The raisin is like kind of a different type of purple, so I can tell when I lost a little bit of it. But I probably should have went with a purple that was kind of similar to the purple we were using, because this one kind of makes it look a little patchy, but that's okay. We are learning here. But I can still kind of blend it if I just kind of go over the whole thing with medium pressure. I don't want to blend it too much because now it's starting to look a mess. There. So we got the nice purple hat and the purple, what do you call it? Cushion. I'm looking for my, oh, here. I went outside just a bit here and then here as well. I really need to get one of those brushes so I can just brush instead of taking my hand across the whole thing. Okay. Now we're gonna work on his scarf. Now his scarf, I kind of want it to be like a yellow, orangey yellow. So I'm starting with cream, and we're just going to base the whole thing with cream. Just the whole thing. And don't forget the bit behind the chair that we just figured out was part of his scarf. So down here, this little bit back here is part of his scarf. And then this little bit down here as well. So don't forget that. And we've got the whole thing based in cream. Now I'm coming in with Canary Yellow, and I'm gonna get this part here coming from the back, this part here coming from this little fold, and I'm gonna leave this here in the middle. Let me zoom in just a bit. This piece here in the middle I'm gonna leave for that cream. So I'm just kind of bringing it out, and then on this side I'm bringing this side out here. And then, so this part is going to be a little tricky. I am coming from the top and coming down just a bit, coming from the bottom here, coming up, coming from the bottom over here in the middle, down the side just a bit, and then from here all the way down, just leaving some spots for it to be still cream. And then I'm gonna bring this out back here, and then coming down here, this from the bottom up, just a little bit left for the cream. How can I do this without blocking this? Okay, yeah, like that. All right, so from the top to the bottom, top to the bottom, top to the bottom in the middle. So you want to just kind of follow the folds, but leave some for the cream. So again, it's cool the way it looks, and you can go over it with cream if you want to kind of leave it like that. but I'm gonna add just a touch of this sunflower, just kind of like around the edges. And believe it or not, today, you guys, my pencils were already sharpened and ready to go, so I didn't have to sharpen in the middle and look for my sharpener and pencils breaking and, you know, all that fun stuff that always happens every video. Okay, so, and so far the camera hasn't fallen either. Let's not jinx it. So I'm just adding a little orange. Well, this is sunflower. So I mean, technically it's like an orangey yellow, but just a bit to make it kind of pop in certain areas. Just kind of like along the lines, literally, and the darkest areas. And I mean, it's not necessarily, we're not really creating shadows or anything. We're just kind of making the scarf pop. That's all. I mean, we're kind of making shadows, but really we're just trying to make it pop. It's not really, we're not doing any darks of the darks or anything like that. We're just making it pop. So we're gonna come in with the cream and we're gonna go over the whole thing. Look at that. Just look at that. And just like that, we are done. Once we go over this whole thing, we are done. Just, you guys were out of frame there, but I just took the cream and just went over the whole thing. You guys know how we do it. Now, if we wanted to really snazz up Charlie, starting with this hideous cushion, I have some stickles, and this one is called Mermaid Tail. I can use this one for the cushion to help make it look a little less hideous. I also have some, which one is this? Does it have a color? It just says Ranger. Oh, here we go. Nope, that's the address. This one doesn't have a color. I don't know what color it is. Or I can use some liquid pearls. So I think I'm gonna go with this Mermaid Tail. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna add some circles, or not circles, dots, just kind of everywhere on the cushion so it can. And what's on the back of Charlie, because what happens is when this dries, it's gonna be hard to color whatever's on the back of Charlie. So I have to be aware of what's back here. Oh, it's the tea kettles, but where the cushion is, there's nothing there, so that's okay. So we're okay to add our dots. Just be sure before you do that, always check. Unless your page is one-sided, then you're okay. So we're just gonna add some little stickles there. I'm thinking of adding some to his hat too. Just, I might do these liquid pearls. And let's check to see what's on the other side of his hat though. So his hat's in the clear as well. So I wanted to add some liquid pearls right here. And I'm just gonna bring you guys down. And I'm just adding some dots along the hat. And one more. Right, okay. So let's take a look at Charlie. So we added some nice pearls to his hat. And then we added some nice, once these dry, they're gonna look very nice. But Charlie is done, you guys. As far as the window pane in the background, if I come to that, I might just go in with some grays and keep it white. But that's the end of this color along. That was the last part, or this is the last part. I want to thank those who have followed along or just watched in general and colored along with me. I want to do these more often, but as it stands right now, I can only do like one per month in like different parts. And we can take this yellow strip off because it's no longer a whip. It is now a completed page, so we can put a nice sparkly tab. So as it stands right now, I can only do one a month in parts, but I do want to do more eventually. Once I'm done being tired, I guess we can do more and things like that. But for now, Charlie's done, and I had a lot of fun with this one. Honestly, my favorite part is probably the scarf, and when we added the little things to his hat. Let me know down in the comments if you guys have followed along and if you guys finished. I do want to see. I have Instagram. I have the Facebook group. You guys can post your finished pages in and let me actually see how yours turned out if you followed along. So now I'm gonna move Charlie to the side, and my next color along, I'm gonna let you guys choose the book. You get to choose the book and I will choose the page. If you guys don't have, you guys have till the end of the month to comment which book. And if I don't have enough comments or, you know, anything like that, then I'm just going to choose myself. So the first book is Tales from the Forest Kingdom by Hannah Carlzon. Let me really move Charlie because I almost put my hand in them and that would have been bad. So we have Tales from the Forest Kingdom. I was thinking of doing one in that. I also was thinking of doing one in, because I'm going to pick some detailed ones, and I'm going to pick some non-detailed ones. So we also have 50 safari miniatures. You guys can choose from that one. We have R.J. Hampson's Fantasy Tiny Homes. And I'm going to choose one more. And I'm thinking we can do another Fragile World, but I kind of want to mix it up. So I'm thinking we can do one from one of my mythographic books. So we can do Aquatic, or we can do Odyssey, or Wild Winter. So let me know down in the comments if you want to do a mythographic page together, the Fantasy Tiny Homes page together, the 50 Safari miniatures together, or Tales from the Forest Kingdom. Let me know down in the comments, and we will figure out what page we will do. Well, I will pick the page, and then we will start that in March. Again, if I don't have enough, then I'll just pick a page from any book and we'll just do it that way. So thank you all again for watching and following along, and I hope you enjoyed this color along, and I will see you guys in the next one.